Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast, where we provide you with your weekly diagnosis of everything fantasy football. Whether it's season-long leagues, dynasty, DFS, or sometimes even IDP, we got you covered all year long. Let's do it. Let's get to it. Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast. It is Wednesday, December 14th. I'm your host, John June. This guy to my left, Greg Penniman, aka G Money. Greg, how you doing in this in the midst of the fantasy playoffs here?
Yeah, fantasy playoffs. I think I'm in three of them. Three of them. Excited about all of them. Just thinking about who we added on waivers, who's still available out there. And yeah, it's an important week for the people. So we gotta get to that next round, 1 week at a time. Get to those quarters maybe or the semis. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely, could be a stressful time, but it also could be less stressful if you don't have any matchups. Like I have, four bye weeks actually. Just get to observe, pick up players like Pierre Strong from Monday night and just, see what happens. But I'm also in leagues where I got to play, and I might be counting on a Pierre Strong, so we'll see what happens. We'll obviously break down Thursday night football. We got some Saturday games that we got to break down here as well. But before we do any of that, Greg, we got to jump into those streams of the week here. But before that, just going to kindly ask whether you are watching this on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, whether you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, just make sure you like, subscribe. It does cost you absolutely nothing, but definitely helps the show out a lot. So please make sure you go ahead and do that. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into these streams of the week, Greg. And you've said it. You'll continue to say it.
I'm a man of my word.
You're a man of your words, so go ahead. Tell the people who it shouldn't be a surprise to, but tell them anyway.
Anti-Sean McVay, you already know I'm here. Gotta go. Mike White going against Detroit, man. He's 27% rostered. And, he survived last week, banged up in that tough matchup against Buffalo, was able to still throw 268 and get 44 attempts up. And you love to see that for fantasy friendly. And, he's able to now come into a prime matchup here where he's going against Detroit. Easy secondary to attack. There's a lot of great matchups on the outside for those receivers. So he should get close to a 300-yard day and multi-touchdowns. This is a great spot for a QB1 performance.
Yeah, man. Mike White, a.k.a. Slight White, as I since dubbed him, but ton of respect for him. So how quarterbacks, they wear the flak jacket or whatever?
Yeah.
Mike White doesn't wear one.
Different.
I was like, you're a certified maniac.
Different, bro. Mike White was like, ribs was just getting taken hit after hit, man. Still out there battling, man.
How do you play quarterback and not wear one?
It was cold. It was real cold.
I don't care. Anyway, yeah, he definitely was tough. He said he would have to peel him off the field in order for him to have not returned. And I don't know if
the contract year from Mike too, man.
I don't know if he's got like the greatest PR people in the world, or if he's just really him.
For the bag, baby, for the bag,
for the bag, right? Like you could get the best PR people in the world to make sure you secure that bag.
Word. Put them on loan real quick, and then we make it happen.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna go on my quarterback stream of the week, and that's Ryan Tannehill. Going up against, he's 37% roster in Yahoo leagues. Gets to go up against the LA Chargers, who allow the 11th most fantasy points to the quarterback position over their last 3 games. The Chargers, they did shut down Tua and them a little bit, but I'm willing to say that was game plan specific. They identified a weakness of the Miami Dolphins and of Tua, and they were able to exploit it. So I think Tannehill is going to come into this game. He's been playing well as of late. And, again, if Burks can go, I think this is a great spot even for him as well. So definitely, for those who lost Kyler Murray, I think that Ryan Tannehill makes a very nice streaming option as well as Mike White.
Word, because we talked about the Jets' schedule. We talked about it, pounding the drum on that. So definitely the time to add him and maybe ride out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, and it doesn't just pertain to Mike White. It also, you know, is the same for the receivers and as well as Bam Knight. And this other guy hasn't come in, hasn't hit recently, but Tyler Conklin has some great matchups as well. But it's just been really tough to consistently go there. But Greg, I know you're not going Conklin this week for your tight end stream of the week, but who
No,
are you
sir.
going with?
Going with Hunter Henry, going against the Vegas Raiders, 48% rostered in Yahoo leagues. He's been on, very, a little consistent of late. 3 of the last 5 games got at least 50 receiving yards. Last week had a team high 70. So he's been involved in this Patriots passing offense. It's very slim. The pie is very low, but he's a big part of it, trying to get downfield and make big plays for this team. Uh, was one tackle away from last game actually getting a touchdown. Got a touchdown actually in the last 3 weeks, so he's being involved more.
Yeah, I like this as well. It was just frustrating to watch the first target not happen until like
Yeah,
minutes left in
that
the
was
half.
scary. That
That
was scary
was
because in that team I had Hunter Henry and Ramondre Stevenson, and Ramondre Stevenson got hurt, and Hunter Henry wasn't doing anything. And even though Kyler Murray was out, he could have came back and made one throw, and I would have lost. So it would have, yeah.
You were worried about Kyler Murray, who got carted off with a torn ACL, coming back to make one throw.
Score stat corrections. I won. I won in stat corrections actually this week. So yeah, yeah.
Oh wow,
In
I was.
Dynasty, crazy.
Oh wow, that
Yeah.
is crazy. Um, all right, I'm gonna give up my tight end stream of the week, and it's kind of cheating, but I couldn't
Not
help
cheating in
myself
Yahoo
here.
leagues because
In
we're
Yahoo
going by
leagues, Jeff
percentage.
Jeff Driscoll, 13% rostered, going up against Kansas City, who again listed as a tight end, Jeff Driscoll, because in the offseason they transitioned him to tight end, but I guess they moved him back to quarterback, and he still has dual eligibility on Yahoo, where he's a quarterback and a tight end. I think he's still just a quarterback on Sleeper and NFL.com and some of these other formats. So definitely don't recommend this on those other formats. But in Yahoo, this is definitely worth someone that you should be picking up. He has that tight end eligibility. So if you're desperate, and when I say desperate, you don't have Travis Kelce, that makes all of us desperate. He's a top 5 option at the position. He's even worth picking up if you're blocking another opponent, because and honestly, we were talking about it off air, Greg, but I believe that he's a top flex option when you consider his upside. If you're just looking to fill, somebody in at the flex spot, like it's like essentially if you're playing in a 1 quarterback league, it's like you're playing 2 quarterbacks. If you're playing in a 2 quarterback league, it's like you're playing 3 quarterbacks because he is taking 50% of the work. He he had 7 carries for 36 rushing yards, and Damian Pierce is injured, so there's an opportunity there for more plays. And then on top of that, they're playing against Kansas City, so there's going to be a lot of negative game script here. Maybe he doesn't play as much in those situations, but I'd have to imagine that part of the game plan is going to be him in the quarterback run game.
Yeah, nah, I like this one. Jeff Driscoll is just like Taysom Hill's value at quarterback and tight end, but he's going to be
I think he's
involved.
better than Taysom Hill in this instance.
Yeah, more. Yeah, it's because he's going to be involved more in the game, and you want that, and that's definitely a play that you can put at the flex value and or tight end. You can start a 2 tight end, so or basically or have a super flex like you. There's no cap really.
Yeah, for sure. And then other options if you aren't playing in Yahoo, Chigozum Okonkwo, who we talked about. The matchup doesn't look great on paper, but he's somebody that's been involved in the offense. Had a big game last week. Austin Hooper, I think, also still involved as well. So I think he's also in play, especially if Treylon Burks can't go. And
Yeah,
then Logan Thomas is another guy because he's got a really good matchup. He's just been tough to trust between, injuries and just plain lack of involvement. But the matchup here is really good with the New York Giants, and so if you're desperate, you're playing in a 16 teamer like Greg is, I think that Logan Thomas is somebody that you could look to in a deeper league.
Yeah, my deeper league one, I think Jelani Woods got a solid matchup against the Chargers. I mean, Minnesota actually. Ricky's after the bye as well. I think they want to get him involved. I mean, he had a career game against Pittsburgh when he had 9 targets. So he can pop off possibly.
Yeah, definitely. And I know we referenced Kyler Murray tearing his ACL. We didn't actually really talk about it. But that's definitely tough for those that some people needed Kyler Murray to come back and they thought that they had a win in the bag. Like I was actually one of those people. Thank God I didn't need the win. I was already locked into playoffs and a bye, and losing just put me down from first to second. But I thought I had the win in the bag because I was like, oh, I
Yeah,
got Kyler Murray. It's like
yeah.
20. I'm going to get easy 20 points out of that.
Word. Yeah,
Then
man.
on the third play of the game, he just tears his ACL, and it's definitely tough there. But
tragic.
Greg, who's your defensive stream of the week this week?
I'm going with the Washington football team again. I told him got him against the
Whoa,
New
they
York
have a
Giants.
name now.
Sorry, the Washington Commanders. It was better. It was better. Going against the New York Giants, 34% rostered. Now I believe Chase Young should be back. They held him after the bye. I think this addition of him, New York Giants, just again going down in a downward trend as offensively and in both sides. So I think Washington's going to make some plays. Chase Young's going to make that instant difference, like a T.J. Watt. He's that good of a player.
Yeah, I definitely agree there, and they've been playing well without him. So,
Yeah,
he's just like an added bonus for them there. I definitely like this one. I'm going to go a little deep in the bag. Going to go with Carolina. They get to go up against Pittsburgh, and this one is important, interesting because they get to play against Mitchell Trubisky. Kenny Pickett's in concussion protocol, and this is his second concussion on the year. So I don't think that he's going to go this week. So again, they get an opportunity here to play Mitchell Trubisky. I have them ranked as the eighth, my eighth ranked defense based on projection based scoring, and then they've been playing some pretty good football as well, right? Like look what they did to Seattle last week. They've been able to shut down some other teams, good teams as well, and surprise some teams. So I like Carolina again, widely available at 13% rostered in Yahoo League. So I definitely think that they're an option for sure.
yeah, they got to be like one of the sleeper defenses of the year, like just football wise and fantasy wise. They're super slept on, but because of the record, but it's not because of their defense.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even if you just look at how they stack up against positions, right? Like over the last 3 games, they allow the 22nd most fantasy points to quarterbacks over their last 3 games, 31st against running backs, 13th
Beautiful.
against wide receivers,
That's elite.
and 25th against the tight end position. So they're not giving up many fantasy points as it is, and they're a pretty good defense.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into Thursday night preview. And obviously, like we said, we're going to break down Thursday night, but we're also going to break down these other Saturday games, as well as we get some Saturday games next week, Greg, ahead of Christmas. So, yeah, let's jump into Thursday night football. And the 9-4 San Francisco 49ers travel to Seattle to take on the 7-6 Seattle Seahawks. This game has a 43.5-point total, where the San Francisco 49ers 3.5-point road favorites. Brock Purdy has never not been favored in a start. So there you go. How about that? In terms of injuries, well, the weather's okay here, but in terms of the injuries, Brock Purdy, he's questionable with that oblique injury. I think he's on track to play. I believe they did elevate a quarterback, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I could be mistaken there, but Sam Warmack, the cornerback, he's out with a concussion. Deebo Samuel, obviously, we know his situation with the high ankle sprain in the knee. He will be out of this game. For Seattle, Kenneth Walker, full participant in practice, not on the injury report, is expected to play and start in this game here for San Fran. DJ Dallas, he's questionable with an ankle injury. For the game here, Greg, where are you leaning on these picks?
I'm gonna take the under. Actually, yeah, no, I'm gonna take the under. I'm gonna take out of the cover, but I'm gonna take San Fran to win. I think it's a pretty close game, pretty competitive game, divisional game here. So on the 49er side, Brock Purdy, I think he's got some borderline QB1 upside here. He can be a streamable quarterback for sure. I think at the highest, right now I think I'm having like QB 13, 14 range. Seattle's defense is very vulnerable. I think Brock Purdy showing us last week he was able to be used as a streaming value quarterback. I think that should be the case here. Christian McCaffrey, high in RB1. He should, continue his little Terry's got going on rhythm as he gets healthier. Brandon Ayuk should get a bump with Debo Samuel being out as well as George Kittle. So I think Brandon Ayuk should be a wide receiver 2. George Kittle should be mid-tier tight end 1. He's got to bounce back from his last couple struggles. And on Seattle side, Geno Smith, it's going to be a tough matchup for him. I would bump him down a little bit from that. He's probably been a mid-tier QB1 this year. I'd be more borderline QB1. I think if you can find some higher matchups like a Jared Goff, or like a Trevor Lawrence or something like that, that would be better. Uh, Kenneth Walker should be back, so I think I would rate him as a RB2. Tough matchup, but he's probably going to get the ball close to 20 times, hopefully, if he's really healthy. And then the receivers, Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, I think are in the wide receiver 2 range. Tyler Lockett, I think, should be the one gives the edge just in this matchup, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the over. Gonna take San Fran to cover, San Fran to win. Uh, I think for Seattle, I'm actually you got to stay locked in on DK and Tyler Lockett. I know the matchup, looks tough, but San Fran over the last 3 matchups have given up the 10th most PPR points to the wide receiver position. DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. That's great for them there. So I definitely am not gonna be afraid to go attack this San Fran defense from that perspective. For that, I think you probably can get away with playing Geno. You don't have a whole ton of other options. It's a tough week at the quarterback position. Just in general. But he like Mike White has a better matchup than him. Uh, would you go with Brock Purdy or Geno Smith?
Mm, I think I still go Geno slightly. I think they still finish around the same tier.
Yeah, I'm with Geno just because when I'll get into the Seattle side in a little bit, but Kenneth Walker, it's tough, man. He's banged up, or he was banged up. Don't know how healthy he's gonna be. Like we were thought it was a high ankle sprain, right? So that would have put him out potentially longer, but could have been of the low variety. Not really. I'm not really sure. But the matchup isn't good, at all. San Fran allows the 30th most PPR points to the running back position over the last 3 games. It's really going to come down to volume, and then you have to ask yourself: is he fully healthy? How much volume will he get? And if he does get that volume, how effective will he be? Considering that he hasn't been that effective over these last few games. A lot of his production has been touchdown dependent. So uh, I could foresee a scenario here where Seattle throws the ball a lot more because A, they'll be down, B, their running back room is banged up. And so does that yield, more opportunities for Travis Homer, who again, I'm not recommending that to play him. I'm just wondering exactly what Kenneth Walker's role is going to be. So that's just too many variables for me personally. But for San Fran, CMC, he's an RB1. I think you can even get away with playing Jordan Mason. The matchup here is really good. Seattle allows the most PPR points to the running back position over their last 3 matchups. And so Kyle Shanahan, he's gonna see that. He's gonna take advantage of that. And you don't have Deebo Samuel now, so I could foresee a scenario where Christian McCaffrey is taking on some of those Deebo Samuel responsibilities, which then puts Jordan Mason in the backfield, or maybe just in general, just overall splitting the work between McCaffrey and Jordan Mason. And then on top of that, like you mentioned, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, I think they should both get some more work as well, be more involved. I think that Ayuk is a wide receiver 3. Kittle is interesting because he's been super disappointing all year. Should be more involved, but I think I'm call me crazy, but I think I would play Jeff Driscoll over Kittle this week.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that. I don't think I would be mad at that. It's been tough and start the year. I mean, he came back pretty quickly from injury, but yeah, that's all year. Can you really trust him? And then the upside is really high for Jeff Driscoll. You don't want to, if you have Jeff Driscoll on the bench dropping like 20 points, that'd be so heart wrench. I'd be so hard. It'd be
Yeah,
painful.
I mean, it would feel the same way, right? If you had Kittle dropping on the bench and you're like, it's because I started Jeff Driscoll, right?
Yeah, and try to get cute. But like he has been disappointing. He hasn't been a tight end 1. So if you're not a tight end 1, then you can make the argument to start any tight end over like that person.
Yeah, no, 100%. And Kittle just hasn't been that guy. So,
yeah.
All right, Greg, let's get into some bold predictions for this game, some prop bets. You got anything for the people today?
Yeah, Super Bowl in this one. I got McCaffrey touchdown. Give me that one of those. And give me a Tyler Lockett anytime touchdown. He's got 8 this year, receiving wise. Man usually plays well in primetime games. Feel like he gets a big one. He has one of the greatest catches ever on a primetime game, actually. So from a once great quarterback.
A once great quarterback. I'm just trying to see what that is. So Tyler Lockett, it's
plus 200.
It's plus 403. Because Tyler Lockett's anytime touchdown is plus 200, which seems kind of crazy, but he's been scoring at a ridiculous rate.
Yeah, he has.
You can't keep it up. But I feel like some of his he had a 3 touchdown performance one night against Arizona on a Thursday night. So yeah, I am going to go with mine's not as bold as yours, but I'm gonna go.
I'm gonna do yours and mine. That's perfect. So
then yours and mine separately or together?
No, separately.
Okay. Mine is Christian McCaffrey anytime touchdown, and parlay that with DK Metcalf over 70 plus receiving yards. That comes out to plus 203. So bet 100, win $203. Bet 10, win $20.30, so on and so forth. All right. So let's see what we get there. And if you combine both of them, I'm genuinely curious what it is. Well, we already got the CMC touchdown, so you can't get the CMC touchdown again unless we actually do 2+ touchdowns. We're not going to do that.
Man, no.
Yeah, plus 9 plus 918. So that is the official FFDX Thursday night football bet. Let's go on to Saturday football, which we typically aren't used to doing, but we're going to do it, right? We adapt, we adjust as fantasy managers should. So let's talk about this first matchup here. The 4-8-1 Indianapolis Colts traveled to Minnesota to take on the 10-3 Minnesota Vikings. This game has a 48.5 point total, where the Minnesota Vikings are 4.5 point home favorites in this one. I am going to take the under. I'm going to take Minnesota to cover. I'm going to take Minnesota to win. After playing, beating up on Josh McDaniels and taking his lunch money, the Colts have fallen back to earth. Have not been great in their previous games, but Minnesota likes to play close games. I think this one's relatively close, but I still see Minnesota covering the 4.5 point spread. For the Colts, JT, he's an RB1. He's rounded into form. Since Jeff Saturday's come over, he's been again seeing the rushing opportunities. Has averaged about 88 rushing yards per game. He's getting the opportunities around the goal line. This offense revolves around him again, so I think we definitely got to keep rolling with that. Michael Pittman Jr. He's a wide receiver one, and what I think is a great matchup here against the Minnesota Vikings, who struggle against perimeter wide receivers, and that's exactly where Pittman operates. So, I think that he has a great matchup as well as Alec Pierce. I think he has some upside being the other outside receiver here for the Colts. So I don't know if I would look to Paris Campbell, seeing how he's a slot receiver, and that's where the Minnesota Vikings tend to their strengths tend to lie. Uh, on the Minnesota side, Justin Jefferson, he's a wide receiver one. Kirk Cousins, borderline QB1. I have him ranked out as the QB 13 on the week. Dalvin Cook, I've been ranking him low lately, and it's been paying off because he's been producing at an RB2 level, and so that's where I'm going to continue to rank him until further notice. And then TJ Hawkinson, he's a tight end one because he's now Minnesota TJ Hawk, and we like Minnesota Hawk.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm gonna take the over. I'm gonna take Indeed cover, but yeah, I'm gonna take the Vikings to win. Definitely gonna be a close competitive game. Minnesota's defense has just been bad, and Indy has just been bad in general. So on the Indy side, Matt Ryan, I think he's gonna have a player to be able to get maybe 2+ touchdowns in this game. Could be I think in that superflex category, so he could be usable. JT, I think you continue to roll him out there as a RB1. Bouncing back in the second half of the year as he got healthy. I agree with you that those receivers on the outside, all three of them, Michael Pittman, Paris Campbell, and Alec Pierce have good matchups on the outside, so they can be obviously Michael Pittman, wide receiver one. I think the other two can be definitely used if you are in a desperation, not desperation, but if you need a receiver right now available, you can go add him right now and possibly be used for you as a flex value. And Jelani Woods, super deep tight end, that could be used in this matchup as well. On the Minnesota side, Kirk Cousins, QB1 in this matchup. Dalvin Cook, I think is a low end RB1. Justin Jefferson has been dominating of late. He's the MVP on the field right now. So uh, definitely wide receiver, but wide receiver one. And yeah, TJ Hawk, agree with you, wide receiver. I'm tight end one.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to this next game, an AFC North matchup between the 9-4 Baltimore Ravens traveling to Cleveland to take on the 5-8 Cleveland Browns. This game has a 38.5-point total, where the Cleveland Browns are 2.5-point home favorites in this one. And yeah, I'm realizing that I don't even have the spreads up on here, but in terms of the weather, there is potential snow and rain in this game. In terms of injuries for Baltimore, Tyler Huntley, he's a full participant with a concussion. So, that's definitely good news. Lamar Jackson, he was a DNP with a knee injury. For Cleveland, Amari Cooper is DNP, getting rest and dealing with that hip injury. And then, David Njoku, he was limited with a knee injury. And then on the defensive side of the ball for the Cleveland Browns, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, he was placed on the injured reserve with a foot injury. So definitely not good news for the Cleveland Browns defense that had already been struggling. But in terms of this game, Greg, where are you going?
I'm gonna take Baltimore. I'm gonna take the under. I'm gonna take Baltimore to cover them. Baltimore to win. Thinks just somehow it's a tough divisional game. I think Baltimore really needs it for the playoffs. I think they get it done somehow. Uh, on the Baltimore side, Tyler Huntley, I think he's been same evaluation every week. He can fall into that QB1 territory with his legs, but I think he's in super flex value. But he gives you a safe floor. As far as the running backs, J.K. Dobbins is hopefully some people were able to get him on that waivers. That would have been a great addition to your RB depth. I think he's got to be a high end RB2 for me with some RB1 upside in this matchup. But definitely put him in that RB2 category, solid one. Mark Andrews, he's another tough tight end option that you're really probably like uh, nervous about right now. So I think you have to dive with your stars. I think he's one you got to roll out there just because he's still the main passing option on the team. He's one of the best players on the field. So I think you got to put him out there. Uh, on the Cleveland side, Sean Watson, I think he's a borderline QB1. Nick Chubb, RB1, solid RB1. And I think Mari Cooper, he's a high-end wide receiver 2. Donovan Peoples-Jones in that wide receiver 3 category. And David Njoku, that's like the one really hot start you want. I would definitely be more confident in starting David Njoku over Mark Andrews right now, over George Kittle right now. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the the under. I feel like Baltimore, I agree, is just gonna find a way to get this one done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they scratched their claw. If Anthony Brown was starting, I would probably pick Cleveland. But if Tyler Huntley is able to go, I have full confidence that Baltimore will get this win. And therefore, I got Mark Andrews down as a tight end one. I think we just got to roll with it.
Are you starting David Njoku over Mark Andrews?
And there's probably a team that has both of those guys too. Um, I think I'm gonna start Mark Andrews.
Word.
Yeah. Let me confirm that. I mean, my rank. That's what my rankings say. I just want to make sure that. I mean, he's still seeing a 26% target share over his last 4 games. He's not catching the ball very well. He's only catching 50% of his targets, but he's still averaging 12 yards per catch. Has a 10.5 yard A dot. So the usage is good. It's just he's not, playing well right now. But it's not like he's a bad football player, and it's not like what we've seen has been a flash in the pan. Like maybe the shoulder injury is more than we know, is impacting him more than we know, right? Like that could impact his ability to catch the football. Um, I'm not really sure, but I feel like I would um, play play Mark Andrews comfortably ahead of Njoku. I mean, yeah, yeah. It's definitely not an easy decision. I'll say that, right? It's not an easy decision for me to make, but I have Andrews down as a tight end one. I think Dobbins, he's an RB2. He was definitely involved last week, played well, did talk about he getting caught on that run against the Steelers and how he ran out of gas. So he's as he rounds into football, better football shape. He should have better games, better and bigger games. So he could be like a league winner down the stretch here. Tyler Huntley, I think he's gonna have to show it to me. Um, you know, one more time. If you actually go back and look at his performances from last year, he averaged like 16 points per game, but he only scored more than 16 points in one game, and that was the game, where he ends up scoring. He ended up scoring like 33 points or whatever it was. So, he's other than that, he hasn't been very good, and this matchup isn't great. So I would need to see it from Huntley first before I put him into my fantasy lineups. But for the Cleveland side, I agree. Watson, I think he's a borderline QB1. I have him as a QB14 this week. Amari Cooper, he's a wide receiver 2. Donovan Peoples-Jones had his first productive game with Deshaun Watson last week, so I've got him down as a wide receiver 3. Nick Chubb, he's an RB2. The usage has not been what it was prior to the arrival of Deshaun Watson. Now you insert Deshaun Watson into the offense, and it's like Nick Chubb is an afterthought, which is the opposite of what you should want to do if you want to win football games. But that's the call that the Cleveland Browns have chosen to make. And then Njoku, we were just talking about him. He's a tight end one, although I don't think the matchup isn't great. Baltimore's middle of the road against tight ends over the last 3 games. 16th most PPR points, But we've said this whole time, Njoku is a focal point of this offense and will continue to be.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the last game and probably forget all minus all the snow, the most intriguing game. But the 8-5 Miami Dolphins travel to Buffalo to take on the 10-3 Buffalo Bills, where this game has a 42.5 point total, and the Buffalo Bills are 7.5 point home favorites. In terms of the weather here, like I mentioned, there is a high expectation of there being snow. Uh, you know, it's going to be a snowy game, so definitely going to have an impact on offense and some of the passing game here. But Matt Milano, he is the linebacker for Buffalo. He was a DNP Wednesday with a knee injury, so I think he's something he's been managing these last couple weeks. But for Miami, Jeff Wilson, he was a DNP with the hip injury that he suffered in Monday's game. River Craycraft, he was a DNP with a calf injury. So in terms of this game here, I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills to cover, and then I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills to win the game here. 7.5 points at first seemed like a lot, but Miami hasn't. They've played well, but when you stack them up against the teams like they've played in recent weeks, like the Chargers and the 49ers, who granted both those games were on the road, West Coast games. So I don't know how that impacted them there, but they didn't play well, and Buffalo's defense. They're getting healthier, and I think that's going to help them down the stretch. And you look at this snow game, that's really going to help slow down the Miami offense. So for the Bills, I think Josh Allen, he's a QB1, Stephon Diggs, a wide receiver 2, Devin Singletary, a running back 2. Not sure I can play Gabe Davis with the weather. Not sure you could even confidently play Devin Singletary. I say like running back 2, but it could easily be James Cook. So like if I had other options, like I might look there, but who knows? Maybe in the snow, like it's really tough. Like at this point in the playoffs, like unless you're desperate, I can't really imagine playing Devin Singletary.
Yeah.
But Dawson Knox, he's a low end tight end 1 option. Uh, Tyreek Hill, he's a high end wide receiver 1. I mean, he seemed like he was banged up in that game, but if he's healthy, he's not in the injury report, you're gonna roll him out there. I think Tua, he has a lot of risk here as a low end QB1, again because of the weather. Mostert may be the guy at the running back position and is maybe an RB3. Waddle has been disappointing as of late. He's been in and out of the lineup with injuries as well. Not missing any games, but has missed some plays and some playing time. But I feel like you have to play him as a wide receiver 3 with major upside. But again, the weather concerns there, like make you wonder. Do you look to a guy like an Elijah Moore who has a matchup against Detroit and the weather's not a concern there, right? Over a Waddle in a situation like this, right? So I think those are things that you got to consider at this point of the
Or yeah,
fantasy
Paris
playoffs.
Campbell or Alec Pierce, one of the two, maybe.
Yeah, or it's just somebody who's in a different game that has
Yeah.
an opportunity to hit the over and has good conditions, something like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under. I'm gonna take the Dolphins cover, but I'm gonna still stick the Buffalo Bills to win. On Miami side, definitely the weather's definitely gonna be affecting. So everyone kind of gets a downgrade down to being now, a low in QB2, low in QB1, high in QB2. Raheem Mostert, I think it's a RB2. Tyreek, if the receivers can go, Tyreek Hill, Waddle, they're healthy. I think they're both, Tyreek Hill has the upside, of course. He's a, low end wide receiver 1. I think Waddle's a low end wide receiver 2. Uh, and then on the Bill side, Josh Allen's gonna be the MVP of this game. He's not weather dependent. He's, not any dependent, so he can do it with his legs. He'll be the main running back, the main passer for this team. So he's still a high in QB1 for me. But yeah, all the other pieces besides Stephon Diggs are not really a lock to play. I mean, even Diggs, will have our wide receiver one day, but I think he'll be on the lower end side because the weather, and he's still got a tough matchup versus Xavier Howard. So I think definitely for DFS plays, definitely could find out even a better matchup.
Yeah, man. I mean, I know that there's definitely been like, Belichick just talked about this openly that in the snow, the passing game is the short passing game. You have an advantage because the defenders, they don't know where they're going. They're trying to react. Where the offensive guys, they know where they're trying to go, and so
Mm-hmm.
um, maybe Diggs can be valuable that way, but it's just there's a lot of risk there. I mean, he's the only guy where I'm like, okay, I'm playing him, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah, he's still a lock.
he's a lock in your lineup.
Yeah.
You're not expecting much, but again, like we talked about before, maybe you try to set your lineup up in a way that you can try to offset the capped upside of Stephon Diggs. Like maybe you go with a guy that might have a little bit higher upside, playing in a higher scoring game, that could come through for you in a big way.
Like Jeff Driscoll.
Like Jeff Driscoll. Yes, Jeff Driscoll definitely would not be a terrible option. I'm just trying to scroll through and see if I got like a Jerry Judy, right? Like, who he's got a great matchup against Arizona. So
Yeah.
just try to make it, try to offset it the best way you can. Or, Greg's guy Chris Moore, who's
Yeah.
playing against
Right.
Kansas City.
Yeah.
Right. All right.
Good matchup.
Anything else you want to add, Greg?
Nah.
Before we close this one out.
Exciting game, hopefully.
Exciting game. Saturday football should be exciting. Of the rest of the games for the week. So until next time, y'all, we'll see y'all on Saturday. Have a good one. Enjoy Thursday night football. 2 winning teams this time, right? So this actually seems like a pretty good game. You got 9-4, 7-5, 7-6, whatever. But either way, some good football should be in the works here for us. Until next time, y'all, we will see y'all on Saturday. We'll talk to y'all then. Have a good one, everybody. We're out of here. Peace.
Yeah.